Hello, and welcome to The Album That Changed Me with your host, me, Casey. Hello. And I should say, today is not the album that changed me. Today is the album that changed Noelle.
Wow.
Hey.
How witty.
Welcome to the studio.
The studio?
This is the second time we're in this setting.
Yeah.
For all they know.
Painting.
Yeah, enjoy the painting. For all they know, this is the studio.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we picked that painting.
Yeah, this is my crew. There's another person in the room, but
It's me, back again.
it's Sierra, again. Peanut Gallery for some reason. So she can watch us talk about an album she doesn't know. Do you know it?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
My sister does not support me.
Ooh.
Wow.
We're coming.
I'm here for the ride.
We're coming out of the woodwork with that. Okay, anyway, enough about Sierra. Noelle, would you... Shut up! We're talking about Noelle! Noelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello.
Yes.
I don't know where to look.
Yeah, everyone says that. You just pick one.
It's okay.
It doesn't matter.
I'm Noelle. I am a friend of Casey.
Yeah.
I'm the younger sister of Sierra.
That's so freaking loud. I'm so sorry.
That. No.
Sierra, shut up. Yes.
And I am a rising junior in college.
Mm-hmm.
Living my best life, not being able to go back to college.
Yep. A bummer.
Till next year.
Yeah, it's a time.
Self-deprecating.
Always good.
Yeah. And so let's put a segue in right here.
Yeah, go for it.
So I love being a little sad boy.
Yeah.
Because it's sad boy times.
It sure is.
And do you know what makes me really sad?
What?
Blue by Joni Mitchell.
And that happens to be the album that we're talking about today. What a transition.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
See, Noelle's savvy. Noelle does radio. So we get each other on a different level.
We do.
Yeah.
We vibe.
We vibe.
Yeah.
I see a lot of myself in Noelle, but that's a separate thing. You're the one that decided to be here.
For those listening on audio, Sierra is reacting to
Sierra's
everything we
upset
say.
that we're bonding.
Yeah.
Sierra, you're still my best friend.
Sierra's doing a Debbie Ryan right now.
I did a Debbie Ryan.
Hello. Yeah, okay, great. So we're talking about Blue by Joni Mitchell.
Yes.
So what, do you want to give like a deep briefing for anyone who doesn't know that album? Anyone who doesn't know Joni Mitchell?
Yes, I can talk a lot about Joni Mitchell.
Go for it.
Because I read her biography, and then I also educated myself on the history behind it.
Amazing. Someone
like 10 minutes ago.
did research.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't read the biography just for this moment.
But like still, you care enough
still,
about her that you know about her.
I do. I love Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
And so this was her third studio album. And it's only like 35 minutes or so.
Okay.
It's pretty short.
A little
it's
short.
10 tracks.
Oh.
But it's known as one of the best albums of the 20th century, and then NPR had it as its #1 album by a woman.
Oh, wow.
A couple of years ago, and I was like,
ooh.
that was after I liked it, but
Noelle got there first and foremost.
NPR.
You
Although
beat
I did
NPR.
get a lot of music recommendations from them, so I appreciate
You guys
them.
are one and the same.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the Tiny Desk concerts.
Oh, those are really good. My dad just discovered those,
Oh.
and he's like, "Amazing! Where have these been?" And I'm like, "I don't
They're
know.
on the Tiny Desk.
They've been here. They've been at the Tiny Desk. I don't know what to tell you."
I mean, I didn't know what they were until like I started actually watching NPR.
Yeah.
And then I was like, they have a YouTube.
They have YouTube.
They have a YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube.
YouTube.
God. Sometimes I just say things like John Mulaney and Nick Kroll and Oh Hello. They say that on their podcast about Princess Diana, they said podcast.
Oh, they had Pete Davidson on that one.
They
I think.
did.
Yeah, I recall that for some reason.
Podcast.
I didn't listen to that, but I know for some reason I know Pete Davidson was in it.
I mean, John Mulaney does a lot of things with him.
Oh, what a weird friendship.
Indeed.
It's a lot.
Very different.
We're not here to talk about men. We're here to talk about women, or you're talking about Joni Mitchell.
Oh, I like to curse.
Yeah, you can curse.
Okay, cool.
I'll just mark it as explicit. That's fine.
Hell yeah.
So, Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
What's her deal?
She's a boss. This was her third album, and so I'm giving the history of this. Why?
Yeah, no, go for it. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so like her first two albums were pretty successful. She had some success writing songs for other people. Both Sides Now she wrote for Judy Collins. And that was like a big hit, and then she obviously re-released it on her own album. And it's sort of known as like a good, like it's like sort of one of the most sort of like confessional albums. It's like probably like sort of the first of that kind.
Yeah.
Because like even in the folk scene then, like it was like a lot of men doing it.
Right.
And they were like, oh my god, how artsy.
We do this. Only us.
Oh my god, men have emotions.
Who would have thought that?
Yeah, and she was sort of one of the first female like songwriters to sort of, I mean, it's sort of like Taylor Swift in that it's like, ooh, who's this boy it's about? Because she also dated a lot of famous men. In this period, Graham Nash, James Taylor. She was dating James Taylor at the time, then he broke up with her. Oh. Because he got famous.
Oh.
And he's also addicted to heroin.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
That's really how they get you.
Yeah, and so a couple of these songs are about them. And she's been with a lot of men.
She's been with a lot of men.
Yeah, and she's had fun.
Good for her.
And so, like, it's sort of like in that sort of way. It's like, ooh, who's this song about?
Yeah.
One of the songs speculated about Leonard Cohen, because they also dated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of men in music.
Huh.
Let me try to think. Who else? It got less famous over time.
Yeah. She calmed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like people like in her band or something. Like,
yeah,
like
and that's like fine.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you do you, Joni.
Yeah.
I'm not your boss.
Exactly.
I don't know anything.
And that's her. Like, she's a boss-ass bitch.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't... Like, she didn't get along with many of the women in the industry, like, in the folk scene.
Yeah.
Like, she just didn't like them, and then she showed it. And she
Love
just
that.
didn't care about them. And
Yeah.
they were like, why don't you like me? And she's like, because I don't believe you're original.
Oh, Joni, oh my god.
She's a little self-righteous in that
She went for the jugular.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, like, some of the other women in folk, like, Joan Baez didn't really write any of her most of her songs. I mean, like, Diamonds and Rust, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I've seen the woman in concert, and
Yeah.
it's fine. My friend brought me to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, she had a spare ticket. And I was like, I'll go see a legend on her last tour.
Exactly.
Like, she just didn't think of any of the other women as, like, original or creative. Because, I mean, the way that she does music is, like, the way that she crafted music, like, especially when she was starting out, like, she retuned her guitars so that it would allow for sort of different sort of chords and whatnot.
Oh, wow.
I don't understand the mechanics of guitars.
Yeah.
But it's not, like, in the standard, like, C, A, G, whatever.
Yeah.
That it's traditionally in. And so that sort of led to sort of different music things.
Yeah.
Chord progressions.
Yeah.
And so it sort of gave her a very different sound, and then on top of that, with sort of like the lyrics that she wrote, she was sort of, I mean, she was a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
She wrote all her songs. And so like that sort of built on sort of the uniqueness, because I've never been someone that's been like, as a kid I was like super into like conventional poppy sort of kiddie music. And then I was like, ew. And I started, like, most of my music taste I sort of developed on my own through, like, YouTube. Like, one of my favorite other singers is Regina Spektor, and her foundations are in anti-folk.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't really know how to define as a genre.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a genre.
Yeah.
But
you're just not
it's just
folk.
a very unique way. Like, she uses... Traditionally, she started off just her piano and her lyrics, because she's a classically trained pianist. Yeah, is the word.
She is the piano. She is the piano. We love to see it.
Like that. Yes.
She's the piano.
Yes.
I love that.
She
manifested that piano. She became the piano.
Yes.
I mean, that's an artistic way of looking at it, so that works for me.
Yeah.
I see that.
Do I remember where I was going with this point?
She's a classically trained pianist.
Yes, and she's like, and she too wrote all her songs.
Yeah.
And so like, and she just had a different way of like making music and then also telling stories.
Yeah.
Because I think sort of the way that I was sort of raised in music was like, either it's like a party bop, like some Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
Got feelings.
I got a feeling. Exactly. Everyone needs it.
Yeah. Or it was like sort of in a way that it's either sort of like super poppy, and then on the other side of the spectrum, it was, I don't remember what my other side of the spectrum was.
Like the storytelling kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like fun and storytelling kind of deal.
And I was never someone that sort of gravitated more towards that fun. I don't know.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. And I've always liked sort of more of a story. I've always loved stories.
Yeah.
And I think sort of that sort of mindset towards that. And I think Regina Spektor, like, because one of the things that I feel like we do as people is that we sort of attach the artist to the song.
Yeah.
Because sort of the myth of the singer-songwriter.
Right.
Everything is true.
Yeah, everything comes from them.
Yeah, and it's like, this is about their certain experience. And
Yeah.
it can't be something that they heard from a friend or something they're completely making.
Yeah,
up,
something that
which is
happened
what
to
a lot
them.
of people do.
Yeah.
Like, I can think of Mitski's album. I know she specifically says that. And then Regina Spektor, too. Like, she has songs in, like, the third person about... She has this one song that's kind of about rape.
Mm-hmm.
But it's obviously not from her perspective. Yeah. So, like, she did that.
Yeah.
And it's, like, one of her demos. It's an early one. It's a good song, though. Subject-wise, no.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's sort of, like, the attachment that you have, and I feel like that was always given to Joni Mitchell, too.
Yeah.
And her, I mean, this mainly came from Blue, because the other albums, while they are sort of personal, Blue was the one that sort of set her up for success.
Yeah.
And sort of catapulted her, because she was, like, known, like, she was in New York, California, and then she just left and traveled around Europe.
Gone.
Yeah. And she was like, I'm just gonna make some music. And then she just came back, and they were like, hello?
Oh, hey, again.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my god, we
What's
love
up?
you. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, I guess I'm famous now.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. Because it was at the end of her relationship with Graham Nash, and she just was like, I'm just gonna go fly in a plane and go travel around Europe. And so a couple of those songs are about that specifically, and then another about some of her other sort of relationships at the time. So it was sort of, compared to the other albums that were, parts were written sort of like earlier in her life, or when she wasn't as known as a figure.
Yeah.
Like, this one is sort of like the celebrity and the myth sort of attached to it.
Ooh.
And then, like, also, like, it went really well.
Yeah.
And so I think for this album, I think the way it sort of impacted me was not sort of, like, I didn't have any attachments to Joni Mitchell before I listened to any of her music. Like, I didn't know anything about her. Like, none of my family or friends really listened to her at all. Because most people listen to more, like, conventional, like, mainstream music.
Yeah.
Or they listen to their certain genre and they're, like, cool with it.
Yeah.
But, like, no one really listened to, like, folk or anything. My parents listened to, like, rock, hard, heavy metal. Like, it's not something that I would ever think of listening to. And then I guess Spotify was like, I got the algorithm just for you.
Oh.
And you're like, and I was like, oh, okay. Hello, what's up?
Hey.
And somehow, I don't remember exactly, this is during high school, and so, you know, I was in those sad boy depression moments.
Yeah.
Don't mock me.
I did this.
I know, because I did that.
Sad boy. Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And so that sort of, I guess, a lot of the songs are about not heartbreak, but also just sadness in general. It's called Blue.
Yeah, I mean, that gives you a hint, kind of.
The title track is sad.
There you go.
Yeah, and then also the other songs, sad.
Yeah.
But some of them are, like, happier, but still, like, the sort of main sort of drag to that was that sad boy.
Yeah.
I think, actually, it might have been that NPR article that brought me onto it.
Oh.
That she was the best female album. It might have been. I actually have no idea. I can't recall. And then I started listening like crazy to the This Is Joni Mitchell playlist on Spotify.
Yeah.
And Blue is obviously one of her most famous. That and Cord and Spark are her most famous albums, I would say. And so a lot of the songs are just on that playlist.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I love this album. And then loved it so much, listened to it all the time. I would listen to a lot of her songs just waiting for my dad to pick me up from school. And then I'd just stare longingly out from the front entrance of the school.
I can picture it well.
Yeah.
We went to the same high school.
We did. How many years? 3 years apart? So,
I'm...
3 years.
Yeah, I'm 2 years away from you, so 3 years. Yeah.
So not exactly all the time, but...
Yeah.
And so I sort of just, like, vibed with that and then just fell in love. And then I remember I think I bought it on iTunes before I was flying, before we went on the Paris trip. In high school, we went to Paris for a week. And then... Is that fine?
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
It likes to say, don't worry, you're still recording, but you should save it. And then I don't. Because then we have to stop. We're having such a good time.
Exactly.
So, the Paris trip.
It made me concerned because I was like, you're mic.
No, I appreciate that.
But yeah, and so I downloaded it because I was like, I want to listen to some music because I can't sleep on planes.
Yeah,
and so
it's tough.
That was like probably the only album I've purchased within the past 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't purchase things. I don't listen to music on iTunes. I listen mostly on Spotify.
Yeah, me too.
And then I got that student discount.
Yeah.
For premium. So
Love
it's
that.
like I can... Because I prefer, like, making playlists or, like...
Yeah.
Liking the songs I like or
Definitely.
liking the albums.
Than having to, like, figure out iTunes and have to buy
also,
everything.
I was in high school and I didn't have money of my own.
Exactly. So it makes it kind of complicated.
Yeah. But I mean, and I feel bad because, like, artists make more money when you buy the album.
That is true. Spotify does kind of rip off artists. They get, I think, like 79 cents of the stream, I think. You could look it up. Sorry,
like,
sorry.
We're on you right
artists.
now. And so that's probably, like, the only album I fully purchased.
Yeah.
As of on my iTunes. And the rest are from when I was a moody preteen.
Yeah.
One more for the boys.
Yeah, one more for the boys. One more for Joni.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's kind of basic to have that as sort of one of my favorite albums because it's like not a hot take. But I think just the sort of lyricism as well as with the music and how it's orchestrated is just like just the Joni Mitchell's, I guess, style, because like she does evolve in her style throughout her career and like try to do more things that are like new and stuff. But, like, her original sound, like, I don't want to sound like a music snob in that way.
Oh, I do all the time. It's
like,
fine.
super innovative.
Yeah.
And, like, it's so unique.
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm thinking about sort of, like, modern sort of singer-songwriters, like, their music doesn't come out like Joni's, obviously.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sort of have that same flavor. Like, I try to, like, I'm thinking about this because it just came out, but, like, Taylor Swift's Folklore.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have the same level of, like, sophistication or like heart, like it's Taylor Swift, so like you expect it to like have that sort of personal feeling, but like I feel like it doesn't have the same sort of storytelling and it doesn't like hook you into, because a lot of the, even if it's a sad song that Joni does, like it's still in some way sort of like upbeat or like grabs you. Like River takes you in because it starts off by sampling Jingle Bells.
There you go.
In a slow way, and you're like, what's going on
Excuse
here?
me.
And then it's a sad song about a relationship and talking about how she wishes she was on a river she could just skate away on.
Isn't that the dream?
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joni.
That was actually that line was like my first exposure to Joni Mitchell. Because when I was younger, I was obsessed with the movie You've Got Mail, featuring Meg Ryan and Tom
yes,
Hanks.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Sierra's learning about her sister.
She also didn't know I was left-handed until I was I was right-handed until
I was like,
16.
you're left-handed?
No, she
I had
thought
no
I was
idea.
left-handed my whole life.
Well, is left-handed.
Okay, Noelle's not left-handed.
I'm a righty.
Sierra said that she was going to be the peanut gallery. She's a very vocal peanut.
Nutty.
Shut up.
Is she baby nut?
Oh.
Remember when that was a big thing? That was in February.
Oh my gosh, that was so long ago. You've Got Mail.
Yes, You've Got Mail. She mentions there's a part in the movie when she's hanging up Christmas decorations because her store is like about to close, and she's like, my mom used to love this song by Joni Mitchell, and I'm just thinking about it right now. I wish I was on a river I could skate away on.
Oh.
And I was like,
Wow. Poetry.
Preteen me was like,
What?
I like this lyric. And then I just didn't pursue it in any way.
Yeah.
And then I came back to it and I was like, oh, yes.
Joni, you've been there the whole time.
I know. She's always been there for me.
Sneaky.
Even You've Got Mail.
Sneaky.
I know.
She's a sneaky woman.
Ugh.
I believe it. But she's sneaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also she says what she wants and she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and that's lovely.
Yeah, and she's just like been retired for like 20 years now.
Oh.
She's like,
good for her. Just hanging out.
Her last album came out, 2007? I think.
Okay.
So it's been
like 13 years.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Or it's 2000. It's the early 2000s.
Yeah, sometime in the early 2000s.
And so she's just been like living her life.
Yeah. Good for her.
She's also Canadian. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes. And Mitchell is not her first last name.
What's
not
her last name?
I forgot.
I
believe it's like Smith. It's something basic.
Oh, well then I guess that's why she changed it to Mitchell.
Or it's Anderson. Anderson.
Yeah, Joni Anderson doesn't fit like Joni Mitchell does.
Or Joan Anderson, yeah.
Oh, that would be a very different person.
Yeah.
That'd be a very different person.
Yeah, she's not that person.
No, she's Joni Mitchell.
Yeah. No, but the thing is she got married.
Yeah.
So when she moved to, she was originally born in Saskatchewan, Canada. Oh. And then she moved to Toronto and I think she went to like art school for a bit or something like that. Because she's always been very creative and stuff. Yeah. And then she got pregnant by it was just the first time she had sex. It was like with her gay best friend.
That is a worst nightmare. that is a worst nightmare.
And then so she ends up giving her child up for adoption. And like the only thing she knows for like a number of years is her name's Kelly. Oh. And so one of the songs, Little Green, is about that. Oh. Like Kelly Green. Yeah. And so, and then she eventually meets this guy, Chuck Mitchell. And they're like a duo for a bit. Yeah. But like she's much more talented than him, and everyone knows it. Well, yeah. And they like moved to Detroit, I think. Oh. And then she was starting to get like more attention than him because I think he's a bit of a drunk, asshole kind of, that kind of guy.
With a name like Chuck Mitchell.
Yeah, and so she leaves him, moves to New York. I mean, I think she's only married 3 times. But like it wasn't until like the 80s that she got married again. Yeah. She's in a number of relationships. Yeah. And then that's when she moves to New York and sort of starts getting into like being her own solo act and like selling songs to be recorded by a bunch of these people. And then comes out on her own. Yeah. And so that's her story. Wow. There's a lot more to her story. Yeah. But I read that biography like a year ago, but still.
It stuck with you.
It stuck with me because I love her. Yeah. And it's not like, I feel like that's part of me is sort of subscribing to that like singer-songwriter myth and that like reading her biography and stuff. Yeah. But also part of it's like the truth about her songs and like
I mean part of it is like she very much is the reason why we have that association with singer-songwriters of like believing that like what they're saying is the things that have happened to them and all that. Like she's a part of really that whole era of music is like the reason why we believe that today like that definitely had to have happened to them and all that.
Because it was.
Yeah. And I'm sure to an extent today there are certain things that are still about people's lives, but I think that especially because today it's so easy to find out information that maybe people try to make it a bit more vague so people don't like attack people, you know? Like just make it a slightly bit more secretive.
Or they're working with songwriters.
So which is a whole other thing.
Yeah. It depends on who you're working with.
Yeah, definitely.
I sort of tend towards the artists that at least participate in their own songwriting.
Yeah, I don't think I really listen to anyone who doesn't participate with it somehow. They're usually people that have like 2-ish people that work with them, but like
they're probably smart people and know how to make a song.
Yeah, exactly. So like more power to them. I mean, with the resources we have today, it's kind of like why not use everything that you have
if someone's super smart and knows how to do music.
Exactly. Like why not use them? Yeah. Whereas like back then I feel like it was a very solitary kind of thing. Like you just did it yourself and
because a lot of these people didn't have those connections.
Exactly.
and couldn't be able to do it, especially when you're starting off. Like,
yeah,
any, like, I mean, you think now, like, sort of the like cafe singer used to be like the sort of image, but now it's like SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah, like you were just stumbled, like Justin Bieber, like you just found his YouTube video and all of a sudden
you love this boy.
Yeah, look at him now.
Unfortunate hair.
Yeah, and look at him now, married to Haley.
Yeah,
that's all I could tell you about him. Oh, and his song "Yummy," I forgot about that. I don't like that song. I'm not a fan.
I don't think anyone is.
Do an episode on that.
It's not an album that changed me.
I think we can divulge.
It's also not a song that changed me.
Let's make it change.
No.
Yeah.
So then what is it about blues specifically that speaks to you personally? If you want to share that. You don't have to share any information you don't want to.
I mean, I think it's sort of just the mood of it. I mean, a lot of the songs are sort of about more like relationships.
Yeah.
And your girl hasn't had any.
Yeah.
And so like it's not like
overrated.
relatable to me on the romantic side.
Yeah.
But I think it was just sort of like, I mean, I was obsessed with Regina Spektor since I was like 12-ish. And I think what I really love about her and what I loved about artists that I started to like after like Florence and the Machine.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Noelle and I are very much on the same page for a lot of things.
Yeah, but like a lot of the we're allowed to be similar.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you like Casey.
Oh my gosh.
Because
I have to tell you that Sierra and Noelle fight a lot. And I'm privy to a lot of it. But that's kind of a funny theory, is that like I'm Sierra's best friend. If you did not listen to the episode with Sierra, I do recommend listening to that because that was funny.
Yeah, what the hell?
That was very funny. We talk about Casey Musgraves. Yeah, I'm Sierra's best friend, and that's really funny. That's groundbreaking right there. Maybe that's why you love me so much, because
I don't think that's the reason.
I'm similar to Noelle though.
But I don't like. And you love
You
me.
like Noelle. This is going online, like in public. You really want everyone to know that you don't like your sister?
Yeah, what if I'm like this famous, successful person?
And then everyone's gonna pull this audio and be like, wow, her
Yeah.
sister.
What if it tanks my political career?
Sorry.
Can you say sorry
make
a little bit
noise that sounds
louder?
like a fart?
You're causing a big disturbance.
I have to go.
Oh no,
no,
you have to
your
go. Oh no, guys, Sierra has to leave.
How unfortunate.
Sorry.
Oh no.
I feel like a big
Don't
part
worry.
of this episode has just been
I'm
like
taking the
aside.
entertainment with me.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's like, what can you end up talking about when you try to talk about music? Get out of here.
I mean, that's just how conversation is.
Exactly. And it's nicer when it's like a conversation and not like a
Yeah, 'cause,
regimented
like,
interview.
I feel like, with my radio show, I mean, as most people do, I just sort of ad-lib.
Exactly.
I do it for reference for those of you who don't know me, and most of you probably don't.
Yeah.
Either you're a friend of Casey's or you stumbled upon
Yeah.
it.
Which case, hey. What's up?
But I do a radio show. I study, my major is government, which is a pretentious way of saying political science. Because Harvard does it, so we gotta do it.
Yeah.
Well, but like, so I do a show on the connections between sort of politics and music and how sort of music can be politicized. But also I just do like campaign playlists and then talk about the candidates.
Yeah.
And have a fun time with that because I just talk about how I don't like them and like them.
Yeah.
But I also don't, I usually do like analysis wise.
Yeah.
I don't do like
It is always
opinions.
better though when you like are more loose with things, because people think that it's like real.
Yeah.
It's not like a scripted thing. Like it's actually coming from you instead of like someone wrote this, or even if you wrote it out. Like it just feels better coming from someone who like sounds normal.
I also during the school year don't have time to write out a script.
Not in the slightest. College is a very busy time. You don't have time for that.
It's a 2-hour show.
Yeah, just like show up and hang out.
Yeah, and if I'm not in the mood, like my last show, it was right after we like found out we were all leaving.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like the day before, or like 2 days before I was leaving, and I was like, I just want to put positive songs on,
Exactly. Something that's
And-
nice.
be sad,
Yeah.
and listen to positive songs.
Yeah.
And so we just played those positive songs that made me Don't
Exactly.
Stop.
Yeah.
Mac was on it.
Love it.
Other positive songs.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember which ones.
Yeah.
It was 3 months ago.
Yeah, so a while
Was
ago.
it 3 months ago? Oh my god, it was 4 months
It was 4 months ago. Oh.
Oh.
Yikes.
Miss Rona really doesn't
That's
have
awful.
it.
Yeah, she really went for the jugular on that. Yay. But yeah, so you just find like I guess a sense of solace with Blue, like the
Yeah.
vibe of it.
I think I mean, that was also sort of at the peak of my depression and not telling anyone about it. And anxiety.
It's always fun when you don't tell anyone about mental health.
Yeah.
It's always fun when you keep it a secret.
It was 11 months that I spent having panic attacks and telling no one about them.
Yeah.
And so that's
Please tell somebody if you are
mental
experiencing
health really
anything
matters.
from two mentally ill people. Like, you really got to tell someone.
You really
like,
do.
tell a trusted person, but like, tell somebody.
Yeah.
They should know. Someone should
You said
know.
somebody. I was about to go. Somebody once told me.
Exactly. Anybody. No, a trusted person. A trusted person. Tell a trusted person.
I feel like I would trust Smash Mouth.
I don't know if I would. But, you know, to each their own. Yeah, so you were in a kind of bad place.
Yeah, and it's sort of known as, like, that quintessential, like...
Yeah.
Like, I remember there was an episode of New Girl. I didn't even watch the whole series, but I remember she was, like, after a breakup song, all she did was listen to River for, like, a week.
There you go.
And that's not even one of the lead singles or anything on the album. But I think it just resonated so much with people. Also, we love some Jingle Bells sampling.
We do.
But, like, even with the other songs, like, some of them weren't about that. Like, I think about California it was after, like, her travels in Europe and then being sort of sick of those people and wanting to go back to California, because at the time she was in the Laurel Canyon. She had this house, and, like, if you've never heard of, like, the Laurel Canyon and sort of that era of music, it was, like, late 60s, early 70s, and it was, like, a bunch of artists that just lived in this area, and then, like, their styles sort of bounced off each other, and it sort of had that sort of base in, like, sort of, like, personal experiences. We can think about the Mamas and the Papas.
Right.
They were sort of quintessential Laurel Canyon.
Yeah.
And then they had all those love connections. Love Square.
Yeah.
In the 4-person group, it was a square.
That odd time. That odd experience that they all had together.
Yeah. And sort of that, sort of missing that. And then also it's sort of about Vietnam as well. And, like, she's sort of mentioning, like, the peace negotiations and how that's how they're being incompetent.
Yeah, how it didn't go well.
Yeah,
in case you didn't know.
While the war is still going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a very topical situation.
It starts off with, like, sitting in a park in Paris, France. Yeah. Reading the news, and it sure looks bad.
It sure does. Joni,
they got peace again.
What a relevant thing for now.
Yeah.
Looking at the news, it's bad.
Yeah. I remember, this is going off on a tangent.
That's okay.
But another sort of way of sort of music being relevant now.
Yeah, exactly.
Phoebe Bridgers did with Fiona Apple for, like, a little Christmas single with what's his name, Matt Berenger of The National. They did Silent Night / 7 O'Clock News from Simon and Garfunkel and modernized it today, and released that around Christmas time. So it's about, I think they took, like, news clippings from, like, I think did it include Watergate? It might have just been, like, Vietnam sort of stuff, but it was around that time, and sort of, and then over Silent Night, so it's sort of that musical irony that sort of, I mean, it sort of blends back to River.
Yeah.
And that sort of how Christmas music is sort of associated with that, and then it's sort of manipulated into, like, the world is not all sunshine and flowers just because it's Christmas and we want to have presents.
Exactly.
And that's sort of how the world keeps turning.
Yeah.
I sort of think that's sort of something that keeps, like, that's a sort of continual theme. Like, it's not an overtly, like, political stance that she takes in this album at all, but it has the underlyings. It's in California, it's in sort of other songs, like, I mean, even River too, just by taking that and manipulating that, but also, like, in just her other music in general also sort of references that. Yeah. And I, like, it was sort of at the time when I was sort of burgeoning into my interest in politics and whatnot. Yeah. So it wasn't something I ever considered, but I think sort of having that more realistic sort of lens of the world, sort of, it's not just this one narrow story about a boy and a girl, or a boy and whatever. Yeah. Usually a boy and a girl. Yeah. But, it was sort of more to that. Like, it wasn't isolated in that. Because I think that's sort of what pop music or, like, more, like, even rock and, like, other sort of popular mainstream music, that's sort of, is sort of considered as, like, it doesn't have that extra layer, so it just sounds like an isolated story.
Yeah.
And then, like, that's how you don't listen to the album, you only listen to the singles.
That's very true. The rise of singles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what's more prominent now, like, because when you have streaming platforms where you can listen to whatever you want and plop everything into a playlist, like, you're not buying an album and you're not spending 40 minutes listening to it, unless you're really dedicated to the singer, or band or whatever, and so you sort of pick and choose. But I think with especially, like, older music, it's, like, all connected to each other.
Yeah. While,
like, some other albums are, like, oh, this one slowed fast, like, hello there.
Yeah.
Because they know that one song's a single and the other's not.
Yeah.
And I just think more smaller, like, independent, or even, like, just smaller in general, like, you could probably say that about some smaller rapper or whatever that has, like, a sort of concept. Yeah. If you can tell, I don't listen to rap, so I can't give you an example.
Yeah, no examples, but, like, the idea is there.
I listen to Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit different.
Qualify.
Yeah, not really. Not really a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I listen to my music, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I also listen to predominantly female artists.
Me as well. I've started listening to a little bit more of male artists, but for the longest time I listened to predominantly.
Part of me is like, I have to start giving men a chance.
Well, the thing is, I'm very particular with the men I give a chance. Okay, this is going to be a longer episode, but I feel like Noelle has a lot of very interesting takes on music in general, so we're just going to keep going if you're fine with keep going.
Yeah.
Great.
I just keep talking.
Yeah, like, especially, and this is very topical with what's happening now, there's a lot of uproar in, like, the pop punk and punk scene right now because of the amount of, like, assault stories that are coming out from young women with certain bands, and like, oh my gosh, where is it going with this? Yeah. And so it's like Noelle and I both like a band called The Regrets, and
we talked about this.
One of the girls came out and was talking about her boyfriend who was in a band.
And she met him when she was, like, 16.
She was 16. He was, and, like, she wrote this whole thing about how it was an unhealthy relationship and all this other thing, when this band is really known, besides their music, they're known for the fact that they are, like, so feminist, and they care so much about their female fans, because, like, a lot of... I saw something today on Instagram, a girl that I know posted it, where she's like, sexism in not only the music industry, but being a music fan is, like, so intense. Like, if you go to a band, like, if you go to a concert and people ask you, like, oh, like, who are you here to see? Like, who's the cute member? Or, like, I got into a fight with a friend of mine, not a fight, I'm aggressive.
Disagreement.
Yeah, because he was like, I don't understand why all these girls love Harry Styles. Like, you're all just in love with him. And I'm like, that's not it. I mean, some are,
like,
of course.
I love Harry Styles, and I think he's a beautiful man, but I also just love the music that he makes.
Yeah, the music is nice, and it's like...
different from what he did in One Direction.
And he's like, secure with, like, who he is in terms of masculinity, and people girls like to see that change. It's not like... It's not like this guy who's, like, overcompensatingly masculine and, like, making that known, or, like, cocky and, like,
he's
gross.
Not, like, pandering to female fans.
Yeah, like, he has stated in several interviews that, like, the young girls are the fans that, like, made his entire career. Like, he owes everything to them. And so, like, sexism, not only in the music industry, but being a, like, music fan is so relevant, and it's only just becoming, like, a part of the conversation now that, like, you have a kind of hesitance to, like, listen to certain male artists. I mean, like, Chris Brown, for instance, people still listen to him, and look what he did.
Yeah.
And we all know what he did.
Yeah.
Like,
it's obvious.
There were pictures.
Yeah.
It's literally, like, no one's denying it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's, and, like, for the people that loved that band that the girl Lydia from The Regrets spoke about, Swimmers.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was, like, Swiss Miss or something.
No. It's very complicated. They took out all the vowels.
Then it's, like, not clear what the word is.
Like, they opened for a band that I saw back in 2017. And people, like, loved them, and, like, it's so and, like, it really came out of left field because these guys are, like, so open about these things, and it's like like you said, we kind of have a difficult time separating the art from the artist, but like when it's stuff like that, it's like you never know, and I would prefer to not support someone who like wouldn't take me into consideration for like the product that they make, or would abuse that kind of relationship that we would have.
That's why there's a lot of music I don't like, because it's sort of inherently sexist.
Yeah, not saying that women artists don't do that. I know that there are definitely women artists out there. I mean, there's been whole scandals about female artists taking advantage of their friends and things like that, but like even like in sometimes like women sort of internalize sexism. Exactly. I mean, like it's the cases of people not liking, like girls not liking One Direction because they're like, oh well, all these other girls like them and all that other stuff. Because I was like that when I was younger, and it's like now
you want to like, defy them. Like I did the same thing with Harry Potter, but it's not because like
exactly
like everyone liked them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to like this.
And it's like exactly now I'm like 23, and it's like, well, you know, if you like it, you like it. There's no sense in denying that kind of thing. Like if you like it, you like it, and yet there's still so much like shame
I just hope
behind
you respect me and what I like.
Exactly.
And then I will respect you.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it's all good on both ends, like it's fine.
Like I want, like if someone wants to put it, like my mom likes country music, so does my sister, and so they'll put it on all the time, and I don't like it. Yeah. They don't like the music I play. My mom thinks it puts her to sleep.
My mom hates the music that I play. I know.
It's not.
It's not.
I could put lower tempo things on for you, girl.
Yeah, we can go even slower.
I was like, we can go even more sad boy.
Yeah.
But like, I guess...
Oh, dropped my water bottle. It's all good. Didn't spill on anything. We're all good.
Ooh. I don't know what I was trying to say.
Yeah, respecting people's music choices. Yeah. Oh, country music.
Oh, yeah, just like with country music, like, it's not something I don't like modern country music. Yeah. Just because it's full of just pandering, as well as just like, just the culture around it is definitely obviously pandering to like people in the South and sort of people that like,
it's a loaded
redneck.
It's a loaded kind of thing.
There's a lot of sort of issues, and then also sort of the fundamental like heteronormativity of it. Yeah. As well as the sort of inherent sort of sexism to like just the way it treats drinking as something you just do all the time to like, forget things. Like it's in like every song my mom listens to with my sister. I'm like, I mentioned this to them, and I was like, do they have to mention drinking in every single song? Yeah. Like, it's fine. You could mention it in a few songs. Yeah. Like, I drink to forget whatever. Yeah. Because, like, we do that.
Yeah. People do that.
Yeah. Like, whatever. You follow your arrow and whatnot. Yeah. I just thought of Casey Musgrave talking about country music. But, like, in that, like, it just sort of, I feel like, builds a sort of a problem. Yeah. Meanwhile, in, like, sort of the music... Like, I don't want to seem like I think I'm better than people. Yeah. But I feel like there are some definitely, like, sort of toxic implications that sort of rap music has. And then, like, also rap music and sort of...
Well, that's the interesting thing is that we're so like quick to say that about rap music, about, like, how bad of an influence they are. But, like, some country songs, I'm sure, are, like, some pretty bad messages out there.
Yeah. And, like, also I just feel like country music sort of builds into that sort of culture wars aspect of it. Like, I don't think necessarily all the country musicians are like super Trumpy or whatever. Yeah. But I think they sort of pander to that base, and they know, like, they might be Democrat. I don't care about their political views, but like they definitely know what they're doing when they're writing a song and mentioning like drinking beer and going on a truck. Yeah. Because I would presume they do not do that, or they have a fancy ranch where they are not doing any of the work on.
Feasibly. I mean, there's definitely some out there.
Yeah, there might be some. Yeah. But they're not doing the day-to-day. They go on tour.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I guess sort of in comparison, sort of, I guess this... I don't want to sound like I think I'm better than people. Right. But, like, in sort of the music I listen to, there's not that sort of, like, it's more introspective. Yeah. But then also, like, looking at society as a whole. Yeah. Like, I think of another artist I like, I think of Phoebe Bridgers and Lucy Dacus, and I love the music they do. Yeah. I've seen Lucy Dacus in concert, and I think she's amazing, and I think Phoebe Bridgers is amazing, and they're both more in sort of the indie rock sort of scene, folk rock, I guess. I don't like music genre categories.
Yeah, it's complicated
because
now.
Because people don't stick to them.
Yeah, like, you could Taylor Swift's new album is technically categorized as alternative, and it's like, who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, because I don't see it as alternative.
Yeah, I just think of it as
Also,
not pop.
Alternative as a genre makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, because it's not anything that's sort of cohesive. But like sort of in there, like they will talk about, like maybe they'll talk about a breakup in one song, but in the other it's about, like, I think of Lucy Dacus, she did this EP in which it was sort of like different holidays during the year. And so like one was about Mother's Day and like her relationship with her mother, but then another one, for Halloween she did a cover of what's it called? Phil Collins, the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Oh yeah, yes. That's good.
Yeah, it's I can hear it come. Is it in the air tonight? I think it's what it's called.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be wrong, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But now you also get the drum solo.
Yeah, exactly. So it's fine. It was worth it.
So good content if you're still here.
You're welcome.
6 minutes. But it's sort of like. But then there's a song that she talks about mass shootings and across the country as her 4th of July song. Yeah. Because I think guns are so attached to patriotism. And so like there's not sort of that pandering, like she's not putting anything about her culture. Like she grew up in Richmond, Virginia. Yeah. Which is not the most liberal place. Like it's Virginia. Like it's still swing state. Yeah. And whatever about that, like there's sort of no. But then, like, she has also another song called Non-Believer, which is about, like, living in a small town and sort of wanting to leave that. Yeah. Which is something I think a lot of people can sort of attach themselves to without being like, yeah, I got my hat on and I'm going down the street in my pickup truck. Yeah. Sorry for that really bad accent.
It's fine.
I am, as they say, an East Coast elite.
Yeah. Well, some of us were born in Ohio, so. Yeah. Yeehaw.
Do they say yeehaw?
No. It's just because Cincinnati's near Kentucky. So you get a little bit more of southern twang. Yeah, a little bit more yeehaw in my blood, unfortunately. It's interesting.
Ohio's Midwest, but but Cincinnati's
near Kentucky. Yeah.
Just because
we're close. Yeah. We're close to Kentucky.
It's on the border.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say parts of New York are more like Canada than New York City.
Yeah, exactly. So. Once you get up there, and I forget the names of the towns. Yeah. It's basically Canada. It's not here anymore.
I hope none of you live in upstate
New
York.
I would, if it's okay with you, like to pivot towards talking about mental health and music. Okay. Because I'm mentally ill.
I'm mentally ill.
We're mentally ill. I have anxiety. Yeah, period. It's kind of easy, period. I have anxiety. And I find that a lot of, this is kind of why I made this whole thing, is because I find solace in a lot of music. Yeah. And it makes me feel better and more equipped to deal with certain things. Yeah.
I find that sort of to be very similar too for me, and I don't think it's not something that I guess neurotypical people experience, like, because they can also still get attached to things and sort of course find solace in it. But I think for me especially, like when it comes to sort of music that's like I find myself more attached to like to lyrics and like stories and like sort of how they're constructed than say the music itself. Because I remember I talked about with a friend once, she was like, yeah, I really like Daniel Caesar, I don't really listen to his music. She's like, I really like the instrumentals, and I was like, I listened to it and I was like, I can barely hear the man. Yeah. And I don't know what he's saying. Yeah. Like that's not what I'm interested in. I like the instrumentals, it just has to accompany it and sort of draw me in other ways. I won't take something high tempo and be like, yeah, because like I don't listen to high tempo, like super like like music that you think you'd like work out to. Like I will listen to Legally Blonde, the soundtrack.
Of course.
It's a good high tempo album.
It is.
Dua Lipa, Don't Start Now.
That's fabulous.
That's my poppy exception of music I've listened to recently. But I think it's sort of different than most pop music. I guess. And
I think so. She calls back to the 80s a lot, and like Blondie and things like that, and I like that. That's cool.
That as well.
Yeah. But I've also grown to like pop music. Working at a top 40 radio station would help with that. Yeah. I find I have like a whole other thing about pop music of like finding value in pop music, but like I think that there is definitely like the whole problem between like pop music and like everything else. Yeah. And I don't think there needs to be that. But Talking about mental health is what we're doing.
I was about to pivot too.
Yeah, amazing.
So similar. But what I was sort of trying to point out was that sort of everyone can sort of get attached to that, but I think music is sort of one of those places that you can find true catharsis in.
Yeah.
For the artist, but also for the listener. Because like you could do that with writing, or you could do that with art, but I mean, I feel like art isn't as, you can be as cathartic with it.
Yeah.
Because there's the level of abstraction, but when you're singing, like, you broke my heart or whatever, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And you get that sort of raw emotion from not only the lyrics, but also the sort of cadence in which it's sung, and then the instrumentals as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's sort of an easy sort of coping mechanism, because you can find it yourself. It's very independent. It's not, you're not relying on anyone else for it, because the way that music you can access now, it's not like you need a radio or a record player.
It's extremely accessible.
It's on your phone, your computer, anything.
It's really everywhere.
Yeah. Even like in your car.
Yeah.
And so I think it's sort of a good way to sort of be able to sort of reattach yourself. And sort of take a moment to sort of like, not meditate, but like think on things.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a way for me to sort of process things, and then also sort of, I think sort of digging down into those stories of that, like the music I listen to sort of has, it's not something I'm going to personally relate to, but I think sort of having that and sort of understanding the sort of complexities of different human emotions. Yeah. And different sort of, it sort of just brings me back in some way, and sort of gives me different perspectives. Yeah. Because I think, like, one thing having, like, I have anxiety and depression, anxiety in general and social, whatever. It's just sort of, it's hard to sort of think realistically and like think about what's actually gonna happen. Yeah. And so, like, while some songs are sort of super extreme, it's sort of interesting to sort of have that sort of perspective, and like, it's also just like listening to music that you listen to a lot. Yeah. Sort of, it's just, it brings a level of comfort. Yeah, definitely. But then there's also the music that's sort of like one mood, and you're like, because you can think with Blue, it's like you listen to it when you're sad, but I also just listen to it in general. Yeah. Like, when I'm in the mood to listen to it, like, it's also one of those albums, like, I'll put in the background when I'm writing a paper, because I know it so well, it won't distract me. Yeah, exactly. But also I can listen to it and just, like, alone, and just sort of, like, listen to the lyrics again and sort of realize, like, how much I like this music. Yeah. So I think sort of just with, like, mental health and music in general, I think also when it comes to music that sort of talks about mental health, I think that's definitely getting more destigmatized now. Yeah. More than ever, in music that sort of talks about that, because you can talk about your feelings, but it has to be in a way that's sort of relatable to your audience. I feel like it's a big pressure. And it can't be anything about sort of, like, any sort of disorder. Or else people are, like, turned off, and they're like, why are you writing a song about that? Because, like, okay, like, a song where you're writing about your sick grandpa, well, like, everyone can relate to that. Yeah. But talking about how you're nervous to talk to people. Yeah. Even people that you've known all your life. Yeah. Is, like, is number one, first, hard to just put into words. Yeah. But number two, like, it's not something that many people can comprehend unless you've experienced it yourself. Yes. Yeah. So I think sort of having artists that talk about that in some sort of way. I think of Dodie. A lot of her music sort of talks about that. And then I was mentioning to you this artist called Liza Ann. She sort of does sort of, it's kind of like, it's a more up-tempo, like, sort of indie rock, I guess, pop rock. It's not pop rock. But it's more high-tempo. It sort of has a little retro feel to it. In her most recent album, but, like, she has, like, a song called Panic Attack, and sort of talks about, like, it's exactly how I would feel in a panic attack. Yeah. And sort of having that sort of, like, normalizes it, as well as sort of gives something that other people could understand. Yeah. But then also something to sort of ground me too. Yeah. If that makes any sense. I can't think of any other particular artists, but I know there is, because I want to have an episode of my radio show focused on, like, mental health. Yeah. And I know there are songs that I like that relate to that, because it's obviously something I relate to, and so I'm like, when I find one, I'm like, I like you. Yeah. But also, like, there are also a lot of songs that talk about mental health without acknowledging it. Yeah. and just like sort of ways that it's like being in touch with like not only your feelings but also your motivations, I guess. Because like you can write I'm sad, but it's like I really fucked this, like I really fuck everything up for myself. And like sort of sabotage myself is sort of a more just self-acknowledgement. And sort of that behavior is really healthy for mental health. Because I think especially like when you're talking about like CBT, like cognitive behavioral therapy, like it's thinking about what you're thinking and thinking about what you're doing, that sort of motivates you to change sort of behaviors and thoughts. And I think that's sort of a first step for everyone, whether you have mental illness or you're living life. Because no one's perfect, no one's going to be happy all the time. And so I think sort of having those skills of self-growth and reflection are important.
Because I mean, even if you're not someone who like struggles with like a mental illness, like diagnosed kind of thing, like it's nice to find solace in things, whether it's a song that makes you cry if you just need to get that out, or like something that makes you feel seen. I mean, like this is going to be an album that I talk about later on in like one of my individual episodes, but AJR's Neo Theater came out like a couple weeks before I graduated college, and it's all about moving away and not knowing what your next steps are and hoping that like you can stay in this limbo period and be next up forever, because then you don't have to think about what happens next. And when an artist that I like releases an album, I listen to it all the way through and then have my favorites and all that. And I usually wait until it comes out at midnight, but I was still in school, and so I wanted to be responsible, so I went to bed and I woke up and I listened to the first song, which is called Next Up Forever, and one of the lines was literally, I'm kind of scared of graduation because who am I when this is done? And I was brushing my teeth and I was like, what the hell? I was like, shut up.
You're calling me out. I can think of sort of a similar experience. Is last year in June. I just got my wisdom teeth out, and Bastille came out with a new album. I like Bastille. They're probably the only male artists I listen to. But they came out an album, Doom Days, and sort of the concept around it is that it's the apocalypse, and each song is one part of the night in which the apocalypse is descending. Is sort of the sort of synopsis of it. And the day after I got my wisdom teeth out, I was listening to it, obviously, and then I found out my parents were getting divorced. What? And so that album I have a very strong attachment to that moment. Like, I don't re-listen to it now, really.
It's interesting how that happens when you put things...
And then it's also sad boy me being like, the world is ending. And I think we have that sort of attachment with, like... I also have another song by Y'all Name. And I love her, but I've Googled this incessantly, and I think her name is Yael. She was born in Tunisia, moved to Paris. Her parents were Israeli or something like that. So it's not a usual name. I believe it's Yael.
I think it would be.
And so she sings a lot. Some of her songs are in French, but most of them are in English. But she's popular in France. And this one song she has called Coward from her, not her most recent album, but the album before that. Older, I believe it's called. Did you know it?
Oh, no.
I said, yeah.
I was trying to find a nice way to clear my throat without being like, Anyway,
and it's sort of about, it's not about, like I don't think, like, it's not about depression, but it was, like, me in high school, like, listening to it, and I started listening to it, like, midnight one night, and I just started crying for, like, an hour and a half.
Sometimes you gotta.
About it, because it's sort of, like, I felt like it was my own sort of inner cowardice in, like, not sort of being true to myself and not, like, admitting to anyone that I was going through a lot of shit and trying to, like, stuff it into myself and deal with it myself, which is not healthy in any sort of way. Again, mental health matters.
There's no shame in not handling it all yourself.
Yeah, because you can't.
Yeah. It's also just useful if people know. Yeah. Because then it's like, if you feel like you're being weird, they know why. So you're not like, oh God, I'm being weird.
And one thing I hate is the tradition in American society of, like, rugged individualism and doing things yourself.
That's true.
It's so toxic.
I have a big issue with that.
When it comes to mental health.
Yeah.
As well as other things, like like systemic racism.
Yeah.
And poverty.
Yeah. It's a big,
and, like,
it's a big
a
root.
lot of other things.
It's a big root for things.
Yeah. And so, like, it sort of just resonated, that song, I'm going back to that.
Yeah.
Sort of just resonated with me in that moment, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And, like, I can listen to that song because it's beautifully orchestrated.
Yeah.
But, like, it always brings back those feelings.
Yeah.
And it's like, so, like, the sort of bridge is, like, a chorus, like, saying, like, harmonizing on Coward in different ways. And it sort of sounds like yourself chanting at yourself.
Oh, wow.
And it's really haunting and beautiful.
Yeah.
And she did this performance in, what's it called? It's a mall in Paris.
Oh.
But it's attached to the train station. I went to it. We were at it when we were in Paris.
I don't know.
We took the train back. But, like, part of it was, at least. But it's this big mall in Paris. And there was a piano in the middle of the big square. It was sort of outdoors. And then, like, 2 escalators, and then the people just, like, came down. It was like a flash mob.
Yeah.
Just
Oh my gosh.
and, like, singing and, like, harmonizing to it. It's like a big choir. And that was, like, that performance also was, like, amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not relevant, but
That's okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
And I recommend you listen to
Yeah.
it. You who is still here.
Yeah, of course. It's hard to grapple with that stuff, though. I mean, I have, like, especially if you start associating songs with people.
Yeah.
Like, I had a relationship and I associated this one song with him, and actually it was like 2, and one I played on the radio when I was a senior in college, and it was like a year and a half after we ended things. And I played it, and I was like, I wasn't ready to do that. And then I was out the outlet mall with my mom, and one of the other songs came on, and I was like, because it's like a part, like you can appreciate it, but like there's always a part of you that's like, this reminds me of this thing. Like, I before I ended things, another album that I'm going to talk about is All Time Low's Last Young Renegade, which is arguably, to a lot of people, their worst album.
Really?
I love it so much. Because I found it when I was going through this really hard time, but then I'll listen to it and it's a little bittersweet because I think it's beautiful. I think it has like a nice story to it, and it's like, it's really one of their first albums that has a narrative to it. And but it's like bittersweet because it reminds me of this time that I was at like such a low point. And it's very interesting to like try to grapple with those emotions of like grapple with the artistry of it, just listening to music because it's music, and then this thing that you've gone through. Well, we've talked a lot.
It's over an hour.
But it's interesting because the past 2 guests that I've had are people who listen to music solely for like fun. And I love music, and I do listen to a lot of upbeat, fun things. Yeah. But
I mean, sometimes you need that.
Yeah. And like I mainly listen to upbeat things, but like because of my dad, I always look for like the meanings and things. And so it's a very nice difference between the past 2 guests that I've had and what we're talking about, because we do that.
Like, I think I get enjoyment from sort of being able to analyze and be critical about the music I'm listening to, because I'm just a nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Same. And sometimes you can just have fun. It's nice to have the on-off switch.
Like, that's fine. But then, like, also, like, sometimes when I'm doing something, like, a lot of things I find fun are things that are more, like, analytical and, like, require thought and planning. Yeah. So it's, like, sort of, like, sometimes I can put music in the background, or, like, there's some albums that I'll be like, yes, I want to cook and I want to jam. Yeah. Because it's fun. Exactly. But, like, when I sort of sit down and listen to music, like, I just sort of gravitate towards that. Because I get distracted otherwise.
Yeah, I can't fall asleep to music. I've tried. I just get distracted.
I've tried. Sometimes I have to listen to, like, slower albums. So I usually listen to, like, Phoebe Bridgers' Stranger in the Alps. Yeah. Her debut album. I was considering that album as well as Fiona Apple's Vegetable Cutters and Regina Spektor's 11:11. That's a real hot take. I went to a concert of Regina Spektor's, and there were these old men next to me and my mom, and they're like, oh, like, they thought my mom was the fan. Oh yeah. And me being like, I was 17 at the time. And they were like, oh. And my mom was like, no, I'm here with her. My daughter
she wanted to do this.
Birthday, so we went to Englewood, New Jersey. Yeah. And so he was like, oh, what's your favorite album? Mine it's called Far.
Lovely.
There wasn't gonna pause between this.
Not at all. No technical issues at all.
And it was like that was like her second out. Like that was her like second official sort of album that was more mainstream. Or no, third. Soviet Kitsch was before that as well. And so that was like, I don't know, it's like a little more, it's not commercial, but it's like, I guess a little more basic. And so I was like, yeah, my favorite album is 1111. And he was like, what? Who is this girl? Like, you listen to deep takes of her from like 2000 when she was fresh out of college.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do. The Spectrography on YouTube has all her demos.
Exactly.
It hasn't been active in 8 years, but it has all the bangers.
There you go.
Yeah, and then
Easy.
It doesn't have her most recent album, but that was 2017.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify.
Yeah, you can find that.
Yeah,
easily.
the songs are not on Spotify.
Yeah.
Spectrography, one word, on YouTube.
Amazing.
I'm giving props to this inactive YouTube
That's fine.
channel.
I'm sure that they appreciate. I'm sure they feel it. I'm sure they feel the love.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've talked a lot about a lot of very interesting things in terms of music. Talking about mental health, talking about the stigma, talking about male artists and things like that, and singer-songwriters and all that fun stuff. Do you have anything else you'd want to add?
I think we've gone on long.
We've done a lot.
I can keep talking, but
This could be longer.
But I think that people's attention spans have probably drifted
Worst
in
comes
and
to
out.
worst, we'll just have you on again and we'll talk about
it in something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll
There's
be
a lot
great.
of albums I like.
Yeah.
Because now I find myself, I'm an album person. And I like to listen to an
I
album
grew
all
into
the
an
way through.
album person. Yeah.
See, I used to be like a big playlist. I just put all the songs I want and it's just
Oh
shuffles.
yeah, I'm still a playlist person, but sometimes you have to put on an album.
But I think definitely for me, like when I'm trying to concentrate on something, I just play an album all the way through.
That's smart.
I recently discovered Spotify cues during my last final season.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is marvelous. I can just cue a number
Everything
of
out.
albums. I don't get distracted when I'm writing a paper.
There you go.
I'm trying to pick out a new album and what vibe I want.
Yeah, exactly. I do that all the time. It's
That's a
bad.
hiccup, but I sucked
You
it
did
in.
it. Well, do you want to tell anyone where to find you, or do you want to be elusive and no one finds you?
I think I want to be elusive.
You would be the first one.
Really?
Yeah. My mom
Did
plugged
your
her
mom-
Instagram.
I was gonna say, did she plug Yoshi?
And Yoshi's. Yes, my mom plugged both Instagram accounts.
Yeah, I think just for me, all my accounts are private. I don't post to social media that much.
Yeah, so that's fair.
And I mean, I've always just been insecure about like posting to social media.
It's a lot.
I mean, because it is a form of social anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
it's a lot.
I can do it. It's just I'm selective.
Yeah.
And I don't want any sort of public following.
I get that.
And
That's why I have a separate account for this.
Yeah, no offense, separate person.
Yeah.
That I don't know, but I don't want you following me.
Yeah,
on
sometimes you
Instagram.
just want to be elusive.
I get enough old men thinking that I will be their sugar baby.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I get a lot of hello angel, and I'm like, my account's private.
They don't message. I don't think I've seen a message, but I also don't know how to find that.
That's the thing is like, why are you messaging me? You haven't seen
But I
it.
get
My
follower
profile picture's
requests.
so tiny on Instagram. How do you see it?
Yeah. Mine just literally just says my name and what year I am.
Yeah, mine says just a chic little biscuit and then a link to the article that I wrote about disordered eating. So you get a lot about me. Good. Well, that was lovely. I love this.
I know.
This was a lovely episode.
Thank you.
Of course.
You're lovely too.
Thank you.
I don't like accepting compliments.
Yeah, I'm really working on that.
Me too. I mean, I have been working on it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say thank you and just accept it.
Yeah. But you are lovely too. It's
Thank
something
you.
I genuinely
Yeah,
believe.
no, I don't doubt you. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram if you want. Not me personally. At The Album That Changed Me. And it's also on YouTube if you just search up The Album That Changed Me. And yeah, that'll be in the description, even though you can't really use the link on Spotify.
No.
But whatever.
But you should follow her.
Yeah, thank you.
I
Yeah.
looked into the camera menacingly
Perfect.
for
Thank
those
you.
who are listening on Spotify.
Yeah.
Just so
Because some people like to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Some people do.
But
I only listen to a certain number of podcasts.
yeah, me too.
And most of them are political.
Oh, none of mine are. All of mine are. We've talked about. All of mine are scary.
I don't
My
listen-
favorite murder.
I don't really like the podcasts that are sort of like
Stay sexy and don't get murdered, is what they say.
yeah. But like I don't really listen to those that are like sort of like I just sort of like the ones that are. I mean, I'm just interested in politics
Yeah.
in general, so it's like
You're wise
obviously-
beyond your years.
Aw, thanks.
Of course.
I'm also foolish for wanting to get into politics when I'm not like a big frat boy who's gonna go to law school.
That's true. But I mean, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I just want to help people.
And that's important. And I think that just because you want to help people, that'll give you good things in the universe.
Yeah.
I'm a big universe person.
Oh.
Not that you need to know that. This is a music podcast, but I'm a big universe person. Yeah, so that's where you can find me. Tune in next time. Maybe I'll have a guest. Maybe I won't. I just had 3 guests, so maybe I'll break it up and have me do it. Talk about Neo Theater or Last Young Renegade. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. And that was the album that changed Noelle. We did it!